Hey guys, so I thought that I would attempt to share my New Age testimony. There's so much to talk about on this subject, and it is still such a recent conversion for me that it's almost like still difficult to just wrap my head around all of it and to just think of the way I used to think and how I believed to what I'm thinking and believing now is just so different in so many senses that there's just a lot to talk about, and I'm just gonna try to cover the conversion and then maybe make other videos deeper into like some other stuff, maybe, I don't know. So I'll try my best to not ramble on too much, try to keep this organized and to the point. So if you watched my testimony, you would know that after my experience with Jesus, I kind of got more into New Age ways of thinking, New Age practices, and that kind of thing. So after that experience in 2012, I started dating someone who really didn't believe in anything spiritual. So I really suppressed a lot of it. I kept it all inside. I didn't really talk about it anymore. I just kept a lot of it to myself. I had bought myself a deck of angel oracle cards and some books, like some self-help books and that kind of thing. So it was still kind of like on the back burner, but I kept it all inside. So let's fast forward to 2015, 2014, around that time. I really started to get more into New Age books. I was doing a lot of reading and a lot of learning, and I was still seeing psychics. So in 2015, I moved to Quebec, in a town in Quebec, and that's when I was single, and that's when I really started to discover myself and my spirituality. And I didn't have anyone to answer to, so it was refreshing, and it was really, I did a lot of soul searching. And during that soul searching, I really delved more into a lot of the New Age stuff. So I really identified with, I never considered myself a witch, but I just identified with that way of being and thinking. Like, I've always been very intuitive, very sensitive to energy. I started considering God as the universe. I wasn't 100% sure that God was the universe, but I just believed in like a universal energy, like God was this just universal energy. And I remember reading a lot and following like New Age pages, and like they always called God the universe. That's universal energy. And yeah, I have some notes because I always take notes just because it helps me to stay on track. So another thing I also strongly believed in, and it's still hard to wrap my head around the fact that this could be, or it is all a deception, is past lives. I 150% believed in past lives. I always felt that I had an old soul. I really do feel like I have a lot of wisdom, especially at the age that I'm at. So I always associated myself as an old soul. So yeah, past lives. And I was even, when I would talk to a psychic, I had asked questions on past lives and stuff, and she like validated all of the things that I was questioning. So I thought that I definitely had a lot of past lives, and she had said, yeah, like I had like 7 previous lives and all these things, like different things, people that I had felt that I was soulmates with. She confirmed that we had a past life together and this kind of thing. So I'm not going to get into what I see it as now, what I know it to be now, because it's a little intense and I don't want to like overwhelm anyone watching that is already skeptical. So maybe I'll make a video on past lives and psychics in a deeper way, but for right now, I'm just going to focus on my testimony and my conversion. So when I was on my own, like single, in a different city, like I was saying, I was doing a lot of soul searching. But I was also still, and I never saw anything wrong with it, and I'm not trying to condemn anyone. Like, everyone's on their own path, and I'm just saying my story. So I was still smoking a lot of weed. Every day I would smoke weed. If I had it, I would smoke it. So I always had a love-hate relationship with it because I have a lot of anxiety, and if you know my story on an abusive relationship, I developed a lot of paranoia, and weed definitely enhanced that. So I didn't really like smoking with other people. Only like close friends or people that really knew me that I was really comfortable with, then I was okay. But I preferred to smoke by myself. So what I started doing was I would smoke weed and then by myself and meditate and like just be in my own like atmosphere and do like angel card readings and that kind of thing. Like, it was when I really got even more in tune spiritually. So, but the only thing was with it is that when I would come down from the high, it was tormenting. Was struggling with anxiety. I was struggling with it was just very unhealthy for me, and I was addicted to it. Not severely, but it was still, the addiction was there because if it was around, like, I had a hard time to say no. The other thing that I started getting more addicted to, and I was already drinking alcohol on weekends, stuff like that, but there was at one point that I started drinking alcohol every single night. Every single night I was drinking a bottle of wine. That's so not good. So I was like borderline becoming an alcoholic. So what I found with being in this, as much as I felt like I had all this spirituality and all this wisdom, and I felt like I really found what I was looking for all these years and what I was needing and missing, I was still in so much bondage to my flesh, addicted to weed, addicted to alcohol, I was very lustful, I was addicted to men. So I really wasn't getting released from any of the things that were keeping a stronghold on me, keeping me in this vicious cycle of constant heartaches, constant anxiety, constant depression. I didn't get released from any of those things. So yeah, as much as I felt spiritual and I was like, oh, I finally feel like I found where I belong in the New Age family. And I liked the idea that it was like, whatever goes. Like, whatever you believe, whatever your perspective is, that's the reality. Your perspective is the reality. A free-for-all. So, and that is the society that we live in today. It's a do what you will, YOLO. Oh, my cats are super hyper. Did you see that? So, yeah, back to this is a serious issue. We live in a society where it's do what you want. Whatever you want to do, anything goes. Do what thou wilt. Well, do what thou wilt comes from a satanic cult, Satanist. So the core of do what you want, do what thou wilt, whatever, do whatever you want is satanic. So what happened was, let's go back to the point of the video. I really love Doreen Virtue. I read so many of her books. I had a lot of her angel oracle cards, and I was a committed follower of her on YouTube and Instagram and Facebook. Then she started talking about Jesus, and it got me so excited. I was so happy. I'm like, yes, like she's talking about Jesus, because I found in the New Age world, nobody really talked about Jesus. They talk about Jesus Christ consciousness, which is a whole other thing. But they never talked about Jesus, the Messiah. So when Doreen started talking about Jesus, I was like, yes, like, and I was encouraging her. I would comment on her post and be like, yes, please talk more about Jesus. Like, I would love to hear more about Jesus. And so she would like talk more and more about him. She converted to Christianity. And that was a big deal for her because she's high in the New Age community, and a lot of people gave her so much hate and she just got so much backlash from it. But because she already had so much influence on me, I'm in the New Age community, it really like sparked that again in me. It really like, like this woman that is so intuitive and so knowledge and so advanced spiritually, she's seeing Christ in a different light and she's converting to Christianity. I'm like, there's got to be something to this Christian living. There's got to be something to the ways of Jesus. So I kind of started getting a little bit more, focused on the Lord again. And anyways, fast forward to a few months later, I ended up moving back to my hometown. I had met someone here. I was still slowly, it was a progression. Again, it was a progressive thing. It wasn't just overnight, but it was on the back of my mind. I was really starting to think about Jesus more and more and more. And then I came across a video, and I might link this video down below. It really, really put me in this, like, it confused me, it depressed me, it made me angry. I was like, there's no way this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. I almost rebuked it because I was like, there's no way. So the video was on occultic items. So anything New Age, like crystals, pentagrams, tarot cards, angel cards, anything esoteric, Reiki, that kind of thing, okay? So, and I had all kinds of stuff. I had tarot cards, I had angel cards, I had crystals, I was wearing a pentagram ring. I had all kinds of occultic items. I was really into it. I was like, well, if I don't think that it's affecting me like how this a satanic person uses it, then it's not affecting me. So when I saw this video, and this guy was from New Age. So he also converted from New Age to Christianity. He also had an experience with Jesus and it changed his world. And he converted to Christianity. So he was making videos on warning people about the New Age because he was a New Age activist. Like he had a website, all these things, like him too, like sort of like Doreen Virtue. He had a big following, writing New Age articles, and he had an experience with Jesus and completely turned his world around, and he committed his life to Jesus. So when I watched that video, it disturbed me and it bothered me, and it put me in a panic. And it was really daunting me and kind of haunting me, really. I was getting that conviction. Something inside of me was telling me, this is truth, this is truth. Like, you gotta take this for what it is. Like, so the person I was with was having a really hard time following because it was like I was into all these things. Like, I was saging myself all the time. I was always burning incense. I was always, meditating and, really into crystals. And I was spending a lot of money on that kind of stuff as well. So, I mean, it was really confusing for the person I was with. But I just had this great conviction. I was like, I don't know. Like, there's just something inside of me is urging me to, sorry, the lighting got weird. Something inside of me was urging me to listen to my inner voice. After that video, I really started considering this as truth. I really started considering this as occultic items like that have origin in a satanic way, that have origin in because I even had spell books. One of the books I had was on candle spells, and they talked about having an idol. You have to have an idol to worship, and that always kind of didn't settle well inside of me, but I kind of always pushed it away. I was like, no, like if I don't think of it like that, then it's not bad. But the origin is satanic. So what it is with these things is that it gives legal access to demonic spirits to enter into your atmosphere. And I know that sounds like intense for people that don't really get the spiritual world, but it does make a lot of sense. Like, so I was having these great convictions and I was in a panic. So I started slowly like, and because I was with someone too, it was kind of hard to just, like you feel like you're getting judged as well. Yeah, I started converting and focusing more on Jesus. But again, it was a slow progression. So I started slowly getting rid of some stuff that just wasn't resonating with me anymore. And when me and this person broke up and I moved out and I moved into my own place, I really just gutted everything. Like I got rid of everything that I used to use in a new age way. I'm not saying you can't have a crystal, but if you're using it to heal and to worship, then it's you're replacing God basically. And that's what I was doing with psychics. Instead of talking directly to God, I would have an anxiety or a disturbance in my life, and I would call a psychic, and that would give me my reassurance. But it was never lasting reassurance. Eventually, the anxiety creeps back in, and you're back to square one. You don't ever get relief, full like long-term relief from anything new age. From my personal experience, it was never a lasting peace, lasting reassurance. So when I was going through the breakup, that's when I really pressed into the Lord. So I was in search for a church, and I also wanted to join a Bible study class. So in January, I Googled a Bible study class in my city, and the first one that popped up on Google, I clicked on it, and so I called the woman, and instantly, when I talked to this woman, I knew that this was the class I needed to be at. I just felt a connection to her right away. I just knew. So I had went that Saturday to my first Bible study class, and it was great, and everyone was so nice, and it just felt like a little family. So I was excited about it. I'm like, this feels good. And so I had a Bible, and I was starting to read it on my own, and I really started only listening to Christian music. I was really diving into this because one, I was going through a breakup, so I was already like in a lot of pain. So it was so reassuring and so comforting. And again, the Spirit of the Lord was just all around me and reassuring me and giving me hope. Just, it's unexplainable. It's unexplainable. Jesus' presence, he gives you relief. He gives you true healing and true peace. I can't even explain to you the things that he has done in my life in the past 3 months. It's only been 3 months that I've committed my life to Jesus Christ, and I just feel so different in such an amazing way. The fact that I'm even posting videos is such a huge deal for me because I have so much social anxiety, and I used to care so much about what people think. And of course, I still struggle. We are human, and there's spiritual warfare going on all around us. So there is a constant battle, but when you focus on God and you press into God, the amount of peace and serenity is incredible. I thought that breakup would have destroyed me. Literally thought it would have destroyed me. And I moved back to my hometown, which I never thought I was going to move back here anytime soon. Like, I had no intent on moving back here, and I did. And now that I'm here, and even though that relationship failed, I am exactly where I need to be. God let that happen, and it's led me closer to God, and my life is just, I just feel that this is where I'm meant to be. So, in shitty circumstances, it might lead to a blessing. Sometimes things are a blessing in disguise. So again, I tell you, do not lose hope and do not lose faith. And if you are considering, getting to know Jesus, or just, you're curious, and you know that there's something to this, then I suggest you to seek and you shall find. Press in and keep searching. God will meet you where you are. God will meet you where you are. And he's patient, and he's merciful, and he's forgiving, and he's gracious. And I love God. I love Jesus, and there is no going back for me. I strayed for 6 years. I am not straying again. So yeah, I encourage you, and if you have any questions, feel free to message me, feel free to ask me, and stay tuned for the next videos. God bless, and if you want to keep up with my videos, just hit the subscribe button, and yeah, take care.